Hello everyone, this is our community assessment project, and in our group we have Diamond, Ubani, Raven, Talay, and John. We did our windshield assessment in the area where Hillside Park is located. It started at Lawson Street and went all the way to Highway 147. We chose this area because of the recent news articles that have surrounded this area. The news articles are mainly about homelessness, drugs, and violence. The most known public place in this area is Lincoln Community Health Center. And when first surveying the area, you see a lot of old and abandoned buildings and houses, damaged roads, and a lot of people walking the area. When you take a closer look at the community, you see a lot of small businesses throughout the area, such as restaurants, corner stores, and barber shops. There was even a community restaurant that served the homeless on Fridays and Saturdays. There were 2 grocery stores, Food World and Compare Foods. There was also smoke shops and ABC stores present, which could pose a threat to the community. I also noticed an abundance of trash throughout the community.
During our windshield assessment, we took note of several social systems that we saw throughout the community. These included churches, Spalding Elementary, which is in an older building. There were several recreational parks in the area. There's a community center that's called W.D. Hill. It offers after-school programs and recreational activities such as dancing and exercise. Public transportation was also easily accessible throughout, and we noticed that there was a police presence throughout the whole community.
The housing in the community was mixed. There were a lot of vacant houses that were boarded up, run down, and falling apart. In the community, there were some houses that were being renovated or had already been renovated. There were also houses that were getting torn down. Throughout this community, there were single-family homes and multi-family homes. There were a lot of adults walking the streets. Their general appearance was poor and not well taken care of. Some of the people were homeless, and in one area, a lot of people had gathered around a fire that they had made in an empty lot. The majority race in the area is African American, but there are also Hispanics and Caucasians that live here. There was a lot of evidence of drug abuse. We found beer cans, needles, and needle caps scattered on the ground in multiple locations. We also spotted multiple needle boxes within the area. You could tell that the people of the community were not well and were lacking a lot of basic necessities such as clean clothing, food, and housing.
Some of the most important risk factors include homelessness and poverty. There were people living in makeshift homes under the bridges. There were also people hanging out in and around the abandoned houses and buildings of the area where illicit drug use could be going on, and also injury because of the poor quality of the buildings. There was drug paraphernalia found on the ground by the parks and in the street, and this could cause harm and spread disease if children pick it up not knowing what it is. There are also signs of alcohol and tobacco use. There was litter and garbage throughout the community which could cause unsanitary conditions, and there were also stray dogs running the community, which would become a threat to the community members.
The nursing implications for this community, we will assess for drug use and drug of choice. Also, we will assess for dependency and withdrawal symptoms. We will also do skin assessments to check for signs of infection due to needle use, and the population mental health status. After assessment, the next nursing intervention is used to educate on drug use and abuse. Part of the education will be the importance of throwing away drug, paraphernalia and needles in the appropriate containers. Also, other information we can offer to these people will be STI screenings and infection spread by needle use. We also want to offer resources for homeless people to get water, to get food, to get shelter if possible, and offer them resources for substance abuse rehabs and programs in the area. And lastly, we want to offer continuous support after rehab.
Our evidence-based article was a community-based pilot study that focused on decreasing drugs and alcohol in homeless. It consisted of two different methods. One was a health promotion program that was led by nurses, and the other one was an artistic messaging program that was led by artists. Each week, the health promotion program focused on educating and talking about different topics for health promotion, and then the art messaging program was almost like they talked about different topics through different types of art. And at the end of 6 months, they gathered information to see if drug and alcohol use was decreased. The end results were good. There was decrease in alcohol and marijuana use between both the programs, but only in the nursing-led program did you see a decrease in other drugs as well. For example, cocaine use went from 17% to 2%, methamphetamine use went from 42% to 24%, and the use of hallucinogens went from 27% to 7%.
Our priority nursing diagnosis is increased rates of drug overdoses related to drug abuse as evident by the number of medication or drug deaths in the North Carolina community. In 1999, 363 drug-related deaths were documented, and in 2016, 1,851 drug-related deaths were reported, which is a 410% increase. So for our short-term goal, we want to focus on educating the area about drug use. So within 4 weeks, we want to educate about 30 to 60 community members about drug use, while also cleaning up the community. For our first intervention, we will start a 30-day cleanup booth or class that will focus on educating the community on drug use and how it can affect an individual in the long term. For our second intervention, we will clean up the needles, drug paraphernalia, and trash to keep the community safe. For our third intervention, we will be educating about the use of the needle boxes that are already in the area to keep the area clean. And our fourth intervention will be to offer resources and information about rehabilitation centers located in Durham so that the community members will know that there are options available to them.
With our long-term goal, we want to focus on decreasing the annual deaths. So we want to reduce annual deaths by 10% within 1 year. That means we want to save up to 185 lives yearly in the Durham community. Based on that, our first intervention is going to be to open a drug rehabilitation program in the neighborhood that we surveyed. With our second intervention, we want to offer free services in return for community service hours. Our third intervention is to partner with some of the businesses in the community to offer part-time jobs for steady income and to help with life after rehabilitation. The fourth intervention we'll be looking at is going to be to start a weekly check-in program after members move out, and possibly a hotline to call if they are feeling like they may relapse. The goal here is life-saving, decrease mortality rates, and to make sure that people who are willing and want to be drug-free have access to live their life.